I'm Eric Nguyen, and I am a board member at the Native Community Organic Farm. I've been on the board for almost 3 years. I'm also the chair of our DEI committee.
I'm Lentell. I'm also a board member here at the Native Community Organic Farm and have been on the board for about 2 years now. Have also been a member of the farm for many years. Have been coming here since we first moved to Natick in 2013. Yep, that's the year. And have just loved being a part of the community here. I do. I think, well, first was at the farmer's market, which was one of the things we started going to when we first moved to Natick. And then second, we came to Farm Fest. I have two boys, and when our boys were really little, we would bring them to Farm Fest, and they loved seeing all the animals and seeing all the plants that were growing and all the food. So that was just such a surprise, like finding this farm here in Natick and seeing the community and all the activities. And I think we did like a tractor ride around the farm, and I had my little baby, holding him in my lap, and he was just loving it. So just a lot of fun memories here.
Like Anne, I've been coming to the farm for many, many years. I don't remember my first time here, but I think just generally just discovering that there's this place in Natick that we can come and walk around, explore, see animals, something we really love to do, and then having easy access to the Aqueduct Trail, which is a really added bonus in terms of being able to visit the space and then connect it to other parts of Natick as well. I really like watching the pigs eat, and I think just all the things the pigs do. I think last summer, especially when it was like really hot and dry, there are like lots of like artificial mud pits for them, and so we'd come and just watch them like roll around and take baths. But I think anything related to the pigs is super fun.
I would say hearing my kids try to talk to the goats and sheep and going, "Mah, mah." When you first drive into the farm, that's like one of the first sounds that you hear. So we kind of roll down the windows, and they love just having conversations with the animals. I'm not really sure what they're saying, but that's one of the things my kids like doing, and I like watching them interacting with the animals. My son was here for camp last year, and Mario was his favorite goat. He talked about Mario all the time.
Oh my gosh, my daughter loves Mario too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like anytime we come on, she's like, "Where's Mario?" It's like
Yeah.
the first thing she says.
He's a
Like we'll just
celebrity.
walk around looking for Mario, and she's like, "There he is. There's Mario."
For me, I think it's really important that people know where their food comes from. And we were just having this conversation last night, actually at dinner. So we are part of the meat share, the CSA share here at the Native Farm, and we had some pork that was part of the meat CSA share. We were just talking about that and how disconnected sometimes we are from where our food actually comes from, where it's grown. How far away certain things are flown into our grocery stores, what chemicals or additives or processes happen in facilities like farm factory type things. So for me, it's just really important to have a closer understanding of how our food is grown, where it comes from, what's in season, and doing so in a way that respects the earth, that thinks about regenerative agriculture, and how lucky are we that we have this right here in Natick. So to me, that's just great. Like it couldn't be more local than right here at the farm.
So I'll co-sign everything Anne just said. I think what I'll add is, I think for me, like any community is stronger when it has gathering places, places where people can come together, get to know each other, share experiences. And to me, the farm is one of those places in Natick. And I think one of the things I've loved, especially being a board member, is just having those additional connections to the land and the space that we have, the work that we do, the people who steward this land. And I don't know, like if it just, you're gonna walk around like seeing kids play, who are part of our education programs, and just seeing how they're connecting with the land and one another, a lot of the weekend programming, and just seeing how people come together here is something that's really special. I think for me, the thing that's remained the same is just the openness of the space. I think at a time where you could think about like risk management, you could think about what it means to just have a place where people can just walk around on a functioning farm. I love the fact that the farm is here. Folks can drive up, we can walk around. I mean, we certainly take advantage of it. I can't think of many weekends where we don't make some stop to the farm. I think what's changed for me is, again, growing awareness that this is here. Still, I think a lot of work to let people know that the farm is here, that they're welcome to come visit. But I think, just seeing all the different ways in which we bring people to the farm, the 5K, our harvest dinner, all of those things are things I think will continue to grow as we move forward.
I think for me, the thing that's stayed the same but also changes by design is just how intergenerational everything is. I was cooking pancakes at the pancake breakfast last weekend and alongside other volunteers who were saying, oh, my kids are grown, but oh, they came here when they were younger and now their kids, their own grandkids are coming. And just thinking through like how many generations have experienced the farm and want to introduce their kids. There's new people, to Natick who have moved, who didn't grow up here, aren't from here, that are introducing that. So I think the ability to really carry this experience on through generations within a family is something that I think is really special. And so you have new faces, but you still have that continuity. So it's both the same and different at the same time.
Love that. Yeah, I love that. Makes me think of our like student board members.
Yeah, exactly.
So like, when we ask them like, "What's your connection to the farm?" They're like, "I've been coming here since I was 2." Right?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Again, just to have that long relationship with this place and just to see how it changes over time is something that's really incredible. So I think for our family, like we do spend a lot of time in the outdoors with nature. Like we're really influenced by indigenous teachings about relationship to land, being in right relationship to land, what we can learn from it, and really what we can learn from being in relationship with all living beings. And I think that's one of the things that we get here at the farm is just that proximity to the animals, the proximity to the food that's being grown. It just reminds us that we're all interconnected in really important ways, and that there's a really important responsibility that we have to ourselves, to one another, and to future generations to really steward the resources that we have.
My son learned the appropriate way to collect eggs from the chicken coop and learned the different postures that the birds will make that indicate, yes, it's okay to approach me and take my eggs, and no, stay away. And so I don't even know that. I thought that was pretty cool and interesting. Again, like a lot of our eggs at the grocery store, I mean, who knows what kind of conditions, some of those have come from, especially if they're conventionally purchased, like conventionally, uh, the eggs are conventional instead of organic or cage free or whatever. So to me, that was just really great. And he educated me about kind of bird behavior and how they communicate when they're okay for someone to approach them or not. So that was pretty cool.
I didn't know that. I want him to.
I know. Now, if you ask, is it they fluff their feathers or they do? I forget.
Yeah,
I'm afraid I'll mix it up in the video.
Like bigger, so like stay away.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. But he told me that he's like, if they do this, like you're not allowed to go.
Don't
get close.
Yeah, they're not ready for you. Yeah. Huh. I know. Or you can't like pick them up. Yeah,
wow.
I know.
I think for me, and I'm somebody who I think thinks less in terms of challenges and more in terms of opportunity. Like there is an opportunity for us to continue to grow the the people who come right to the farm, and just thinking about as our community becomes more diverse, as we think about like how we define community. I think one of the exciting things that we're working on right now, right, is this multilingual signage project where we're going to, add additional language to signage as a way to signal to folks that, regardless of what language you speak, right, there's a place for you here, that we're willing to communicate with you, to meet with you where you are, and then to bring you along and to just, again, make you part of this farm family. So I think that's one thing that I think a lot about. It's just how do we get more people here to see the incredible work that's happening, but also, I think as somebody who's again spent a lot of time in the outdoors, as as we think about climate change, as we think about sustainability, as we think about a diversified population, the more people who are connected to these issues, the more people for whom this matters, the better, right? I think we all win for that.
So one of the things I did as a incoming board member is I spent a couple days volunteering here as a farmhand, which honestly was a joy because I got to like lay down a bunch of compost for the garlic. I picked tomatoes. I weeded the flower garden, took stuff out to the compost, which I loved and really enjoyed being able to do. I also got to interact some with the animals, which was a brand new experience for me. One of the things was moving the turkeys from one part of the farm to another. And in order to do that, if you're not familiar, is you clap your hands and they're like attracted to that clap. So you're clapping your hands and kind of walking backwards down the pathway that you're leading them to. And so these turkeys, my clapping was like A plus, I think, because they were just flocking right towards me. And they weren't sure what I was clapping about, what the commotion was. So they start kind of like pecking me. So here I am surrounded by like the turkey paparazzi. And I'm like, what do I do? So Hildy was with me at the time, and she said, just gently kind of like bop them on the head a little bit, and they won't like that, so they'll back off a little bit. So I was kind of bopping them on the head, and she was trying to like get through the flock to kind of rescue me to open the gate to get the turkeys in. So everything was fine. I survived. All the turkeys survived. No turkeys were harmed in the transferring them from one place to the other. But it was you could tell I was a rookie, and it was pretty funny.
Or your clapping was just too good.
Yeah, let's go with that. I'm just so good at
just
it.
An excellent clapper.
Yeah, it's amazing. The best.
Yeah, I think the animal interactions are fun.
Yeah.
I was here on a Saturday once the 4-H group was here, and it was like towards the end of the afternoon, and they needed to move all the chickens back into the hen house. Mm-hmm. And that was really funny to watch. And it was like I think it was like some of the kids like their first time doing it, and so like with chickens, like you're behind them as opposed to in front of them, and they're like ushering them going, they're going, and like half of them go in, and then the kid like turned to like get the next group, and as they did that, like half the chickens who just went in like came back out.
Oh,
so it's almost like Sisyphus like rolling that rock up the hill.
Yeah.
But like you get your chickens in, they're back out.
Yeah.
And it just was like really funny watching. And then Haley finally came over, and like she's just a pro, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't know what it is that she did. I wouldn't be able to replicate it, but next thing I knew, like all the chickens were in the house, and I was just like, oh my gosh.
I think my hope for the farm is just greater accessibility in the community and using it as like a place-based, localized way to connect organically grown produce into our food systems. So one example of that is the school system. For example, I mean, if you've been to the Native Farm, it's right across the street from an elementary school. So how can we make that a little bit more interconnected? The farm does a great job of going to the senior center and having a produce stand that's accessible and available for seniors, but also thinking about other communities of low income, others who maybe don't think about locally grown organic produce as their go-to, kind of place to seek their food. So just thinking about the food systems in general, I would love to see, and my hope for the farm and for NATIC in the next 50 years is seeing that integration a little bit more tightly. So that's what I hope for.
Yeah. The education piece was actually something I started thinking about as well. And I think a lot about the farm is not just a place where we're growing food and we're raising animals for food, but there's this really strong education component to it. And having people understand what it is to produce food and to provide food to our community. I think my other big hope is when I think about, again, the history of the farm, the history of this land in Natick, just how we can continue to connect and strengthen relationships with our Indigenous communities, and how, even again, right there, their philosophy and traditions and approach to stewarding the land and being in right relationship with the land with each other becomes part of our farm practices as well, just to make this a really holistic operation.
Yeah, and I would build on that too because I think one of the things the farm does really well are some of the like suburban farmer workshop series. So the farm is only so big, so it can't fill all the grocery stores at Natick with all the produce. But I love how there are opportunities to think through how can I incorporate or adopt some of these practices in my own home, even if it's really small and you just have a windowsill in your kitchen and can grow a couple things, just learning how do I do that? How do I get started? Or if you have a backyard and you have space for your own garden or maybe a couple chickens or something like that, and beekeeping. I mean, there's so many different things that, people can also incorporate kind of in their own homes. So I love that the farm has that education component and can equip people to think about where their food comes from and what role they play pretty directly in that as well.
So the way to scale the work that's happening here, and again to expand those food systems.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's great.
Nice.